looking back now, I'm like, damn, I'm so fucking proud of myself. But I burnt out twice with building these companies. Took a year off and just focused on my energy. And then so much about ancient wisdom and balancing the masculine and feminine energies. The biggest issue that's in society right now is just an overproduction of cortisol, the stress hormone. It's going to be a big transition over the next 10 years. People just optimizing their energy for peak performance and actual achieving that.
What keeps you going?
Honestly, was not being like my dad. I love my dad, but I didn't want to be 64 years old.
There is so much information out there, but every now and then you come across something that really resonates. And it doesn't even mean it's something new, but maybe from a different perspective. And today's guest is Andrew Kroeze, and today is a day where I get some new points of view. Andrew's had a lot of success in the online space, having built several million-dollar businesses and having sold one a few years ago as well. But behind all of that is a classic entrepreneur who's done the grind, burnt himself down to the ground while building something that he didn't really like. And this eventually caused him to relook at his values, his mission, and just his life in general. Now, after selling his coaching business, he basically did a 180 on the things that was important to him, and probably more significantly, how he now uses and manages his energy so that he can achieve more success. Now, he drops a lot of insight on the science of self-mastery and effectively the science of influence, things that I've not heard delivered in this way before. And as I know to be true, all great ideas are only great ideas if it can be delivered in simple concepts. And that's exactly what you're going to get in this episode. And before we get into it, if you like this episode or any of the past interviews we've done, do us a favor and subscribe to this channel. Well, with that said, let's get into the conversation. This is the Entrepreneur Unplugged. You got started, like kind of on your own, locked yourself away and started your business. What led you to get going in this space?
First off, thanks for having me, dude. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
The two things that got me started was, number one, pain. I was sick and tired of the life that I was living. So I was seeking solutions. I was an alcoholic, drinking 3-4 nights a week, addicted to Adderall, and working a sales job that I hated. So pain was number one. And then number two was Tai Lopez. So yeah. I watched one of his webinars, bought the social media marketing course, and that was the first course I bought. $82,000 in student loan debt, like $600 to my name. Bought it on a credit card, and terrible course. But in terms of it, it was the turnkey to me becoming an entrepreneur. It was the inspiration that I did. So I'll always be grateful to Tai Lopez for that. And it came with a Facebook group, a paid Facebook group of like-minded people. And I had just quit drinking and set a goal to lose 20 pounds, quit drinking in 90 days, and I accomplished that. So I had less friends. I stopped going out with my friends. So it was cool joining that program and kind of having new people to interact with and like-minded people. That was the number one thing that got me started, was just joining Facebook groups, joining new communities of like-minded people that wanted to grow. And then just surrounding myself with those people more, that's what helped me grow the most.
Yeah, nice. And, like big shifts, obviously, you were having it at the time, even before you started. You mentioned you kind of stopped drinking and you wanted to lose some pounds. I've seen a lot. I mean, I stopped drinking for, a little bit of time now. What sort of effect did that have on you? Did you find, what was the main reason? Did you find that you wanted a bit more clarity, or you just didn't feel good doing it? Because you're kind of the odd one when you're not, right?
So I started that 6 years ago, and since then I've built 3 7-figure businesses, sold one, I run a real estate company now. And without quitting drinking for that period of time, I wouldn't be at all. I've gone deeper into peak performance, and looking at how drinking, not just the drinking, but how it affects our sleep and how it affects our hormones. It's fine every like once in a while, month, a quarter, what have you. But our culture is so ingrained, and you work the whole week and then you just kind of just let it all out on the weekend, get drunk. And I was so much caught up into that group think that held me back so much. And when I quit and set the goal to lose 20 pounds, I started getting back into my body more. I got way more energy. I had to, like, I didn't have to sleep as much. I was sleeping 10 hours a night and that went down to 7, and I was refreshed.
Wow.
So it gave me so much more mental clarity. I remember around like day 45, I'm like, whoa, I've never been this clear my whole entire life.
Wow.
Or like since I was a kid. And then since I broke that addiction, I just had to like grind it out for a period of time, not go out with my friends. And now I can drink, like I drink once a month or once a quarter. And I don't feel like I need to continue drinking like I used to.
Continue. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I know being, you know, in business and, you know, it's typically like an individual sport, and I hear it a lot from, you know, top performers. You get to a certain level and you kind of change who you are, and you start to shed some friends and some connections. When you were first, you know, starting, and I know that was kind of off topic what I just asked before, but what's it like when you're on your own and you're kind of grinding it out, trying to get somewhere and trying to be successful in that way?
Great question. So like in the middle of it, it fucking sucks. Like, where are my friends? Like, it's terrible. But then looking back on it, I was kind of like, looking back now, I'm like, damn, I'm so fucking proud of myself for doing and making the sacrifice. Like, it honestly, long term, wasn't a fucking sacrifice. Look where I'm at now. But like in the middle of it, it felt like a huge fucking sacrifice. So in the middle of it, it sucked. But like looking back, I'm just so proud.
Yeah, for sure. What keeps you going?
I want to answer this in two parts. Like, what got me started, honestly, was not being like my dad. I love my dad, but I didn't want to be 64 years old with health problems, diagnosed with cancer and with type 2 diabetes, and not being in a financial spot where I'm happy with that. So that was like my starting away from motivation. I think it's really powerful to use like a pain motivation to get started. And I constantly remind myself, I would say, I master my fate, captain my soul, don't want to be like my dad. And that pain motivation really drove me. And then it's kind of like dirty energies and pain motivation. We kind of just fucking grind it out and hustle and all that stuff. And it got me to a great place. Helped a lot of people, made a lot of money, got my body back. But I burnt out twice with building these companies. Went to a Buddhist monastery in Escondido that's run by Thich Nhat Hanh. Highly recommend it. Went for a month, studied with monks. And I kind of cleared my energy. Then the second time I burnt out in 2021 when I sold my coaching business, I went to an ashram in upstate New York and studied with yogis, just chanted, did yoga, meditation all day. And both times I got clearer and clearer on my vision. And I kept thinking to myself, what have I done in my life? What are my unique skill sets? What are the challenges that I've overcome? And how can I provide the lessons that I've learned to the world? And the first time that I burnt out and then to Buddhist monastery, the lesson was, don't do everything yourself, build a team. So that was in 2018. And I made $500,000 in my first year, all by myself. And I thought that's how businesses were run. I was making 90% profit off that. It was weird. I started up, I read, what is it? .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. Bought a bunch of courses, joined a bunch of coaching programs. and just moved traffic to a Facebook group, and then nurtured that Facebook group, created a few programs, made $500,000 my first full year in coaching. And then I burnt the fuck through. And then the 2019, I was like, I need to build a team. So hired a sales guy, hired a delivery coach, hired some operations people, that sort of stuff. We went $500,000 by myself to 1.2 in extra, 1.2.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And I was still like kind of grinding it out, and not taking care of my energy as much as I could. And when I totally burnt out in 2021 and went to the ashram, sold my business all in the same month. I got in a car accident, woke up in the hospital, broke up with my girlfriend, had a falling out with my best friend, and it was just the universe just telling me, yo, you need to make a change. Making hella good money, profiting $150,000 per month profit, but was not happy with me being in an industry of coaching coaches, and like I've worked with like Cole Wharton, Ashton Slott, Doug Bottens, other big names, and that they're amazing. But I noticed in the industry, it was just like shit was getting ripped off left and right. Like so many of my Google documents I created were just repurposed, and it's like that really burnt me out. And so I went to the ashram, and I took a year off and just focused on my energy, and then so much about ancient wisdom and balancing the masculine, feminine energies, and how to build a business with clean energy, not dirty energy. So I started Masters of Fate last year, and my main mission is to be all the world in love and consciousness. That's like my life mission.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I think that's the only reason we're on this earth, to grow in love and consciousness. And in the Brotherhood that I started, Masters of Fate Brotherhood, we focus on mindset, energy, relationships, and business. So I see a lot of people giving strategies and tactics, but not teaching them how to think and how to optimize their energy so they can actually execute those strategies and tactics. We have a wealth of information. We have ChatGPT now, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But how do we actually master our minds and master our energy so we can actually execute on it? So I feel like this cleaner energy feels so much better. It's more a towards motivation, where now I'm playing in my forever game that I could do this forever because it's clean energy, clean motivation instead of that dirty what you guys started.
Yeah, like how you started before.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. A couple of things that you mentioned, and I'd like to, sort of touch on the energy side of things. I find that, really interesting. But as you sort of went through, your business, and I guess, in a lot of ways, you mentioned about self-discovery, right? In that transition, I guess. At what point do you feel like what does burnout feel for you when you've got a good amount of success? Like I said, you're profiting, more than what most people make in a year, in a month. What's the feeling of burnout for you?
Yeah. It came in different stages. The first stage was, whoa, I'm drinking too much coffee and my mind is running a lot and I'm not sitting a lot. Then it went to the stage, which was, damn, I feel disconnected from myself. Don't feel very connected to other people. And then the third and final stage was just like, I can't think straight. It's going all over the place. I can't focus down work and that sort of stuff. And then that was the ultimate breaking point. So it kind of came in different phases, and it's kind of like, there's a quote from The Alchemist that is, don't ignore the omens. Don't ignore the signs in your life. Like my dad wouldn't have gotten cancer and type 2 diabetes if he wasn't ignoring the omens of the health problems popping up, And I've started to live by that over the past 2 years of like, whenever anything comes up, I notice that as a sign, and what is it what does it mean? What is it trying to tell me? What am I making it mean? And And I don't think I'll ever burn out again with the energy rituals that I have in place, breathwork, meditation, and exercise every single day, cooking time every single day. So yeah, one thing that I tell myself now is my energy is my number one priority. When I throw my cup up, it overflows to others. And I just feel so much better. People feel better around me, with the more money that I got made, and just using that clean energy and that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you, when you felt sort of at that tipping point, I'd love to chat about how the sale of your business came about. Were you looking, or were you thinking, okay, that's it, I'm out, I'm going to sell it? Or did it sort of come by chance? How did that sort of transaction occur?
Yeah, great question. So, like, in the coaching space, there are so many freaking burnout coaches that don't want to do what they of doing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity for people to buy coaching businesses. So like the dude who bought my business, he had already bought another coaching business, was really successful with it, Michael Chu, and caught me at the perfect time. I was super burnt out. All those things happening in 1 month, wrote a video falling out, that's me, got in the car accident, and I was like, nope, I'm done with this. Money's not worth it. And I just started reaching out to my personal network and reaching out to clients and being like, yo, not with the clients exactly. I was kind of more finessed with it, but I was saying, yo, I'm thinking about selling. You interested? We had 6 people that were interested. Out so burnt out, I just want to get out. Like, you got to have a deal on the basis. And the selling coaching businesses and buying coaching businesses is the wild west, right?
It is.
So the deals are crazy. I talked to my lawyer, and he's like, this is the weirdest fucking sale of the business I've ever seen. I'm like, I know, I just want to get out.
Because what did you actually sell, right? Like, what did you sell? IP or, like, clients?
Yeah. So
how did they work out the multiple?
The biggest things were client contracts. We had $1.1 million in client contracts recurring for the next year.
The recurring,
So that was huge. The other thing was IP. So he was able to take like our courses, our videos, our SOPs, all of that stuff, and plug it into his coaching business.
Yeah, okay.
And then the marketing list. So the Facebook group, the email list, our ManyChat list, our ad data, all that stuff. So those were the core 3 things that he's by.
Yeah, wow. And if not everyone is building a business to sell, but if you want to build a business that's of value, right, like you've done and sold, I think that's really interesting information. If you're building a business, not just for cash flow or whatever it is, right? Because a lot of coaching businesses go month to month chasing clients every time. You've obviously built contracted MRR, so which is that was super valuable. The contact, the audience, what that looked like, from your ads and everything else. Would you say, those are the key things to make a coaching business valuable? Because it's hard to value a coaching business when you're chasing every month, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no value in that.
100%. The big thing is like just getting clients on recurring contracts. So we had 12-month contracts with our masterminds. That was really valuable. And then one thing that I wish I had was better ad data. We didn't run too many ads, but that would make it a lot more valuable. One thing is that we could have had better just data systems, data tracking across all departments. And that's how I started building out Masters of Fate now. I do everything in Airtable, and all of our data is captured and collected. So like we're able to, like, it's much more valuable.
Yeah. So your Airtable system, for those listening, wondering about it, if you go onto Andrew's Facebook profile, there's a information there on 9-figure Airtable that you can plug in. Did that happen after your sale, did it? Or was it you already had that sort of tracking in place?
No, not that. We used Airtable for client delivery. It was great. But we didn't have the system that we have now, which is like all of our entire business is inside of Airtable, which just makes the company way more valuable with all the data that we had captured and the way we're able to visualize it on site.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that because, when we're talking about valuable businesses, like what is it really? Like what's the valuable part of it? So I think you answered that really well. And for those building a business, if you can keep mind of that, as much data as you can with your clients and recurring income, that's a huge thing. That forms part of your IP.
Yeah, data, media, and capital. More capital that you have coming in, the more media with like YouTube channel, Facebook group, email list, that sort of stuff, and then data, which we were big on the data component in my last business, but we are, which makes it hard.
Far more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And were you happy with the sale, how it went through, like as far as or you just wanted to get out at the time?
Yeah, dude. I got really good advice from my friend, which was just pick the top 3 things that you're looking for in the sale of your business. And I was so burnt out and like I was good on money. Like I wasn't looking to make a shit ton off that. I'm only 30 and like I was just ready. So my number one thing was just like speed at which I can transition. So out of the 6 people, Michael Chu was the only one that was like, yeah, I'll just give you a 1-month independent contractor. We meant for the transfer. I was like, fuck it. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, just pick up the top 3 things of what you want from the sale of the business. And picking your number is submersible. But
this thing. Yeah, cool. Nice one. And once you did the transaction and you had a month in there to kind of move things along, did you know what you were going to do after that, or you were just like, I'm out and give yourself some time to think? Is that how
I was going to be a monk for 3 years, dude? I was down to Jay Shetty it up and just be a monk for 3 years. And then I went to. It was COVID. Everything was shut down, but I found an ashram that was open in upstate New York, shipping out to ashram range. Went there for a month. It was like 3 weeks in. And I went downstairs and tapped my buddy Mahesh right there on the shoulder. I was like, dude, you have a car, right? He's like, I'm like, do you live in McDonald's? So I definitely could not be a monk for 3 years. I was ready to get out.
Yeah. And where did Masters of Fate like really begin at that time?
Yeah, so end of 2021, I put a group together called the Founding Fathers for the Masters of Fate Brotherhood. And I had gone deep into learning about human behavior and social dynamics, and also diving deep into Airtable for business growth. So that's kind of what we started with, was a beta program with the Founding Fathers. And it's transformed into this awesome community where we have 3 events per year, focus on a wealth building event, a relationship building event, and a self-mastery event. And we provide the Airtable templates for self-mastery, business mastery to the guys. We have an amazing school community. Highly recommend people using school while seeing up. Used to use Facebook groups, transferred it with whomever was tool. And the big thing is like the mindset component and the energy component isn't talked enough about the space, and that's actually what makes the biggest leaps and bounds in people's lives. They're so many of the brothers just being like, wow, the only thing that was holding me back was my mindset, man. I have all the information there. And we see huge, just like personal growth in guides, just deeper connections with their wives or their girlfriends. And then also their business grows from that. So yeah, it's really cool.
Tell me about, because we're talking about energy and like I said, mindset. There's a lot of, mindset coaches out there. But I guess how does energy tie into that? Because if you're pretty strong in the mind, like how do you then transfer that into energy, into motion, into getting stuff done, right? Like, what's that like?
I think there's going to be a big transition over the next 10 years. People just optimizing their energy for peak performance and actual achieving that. Like Tony Robbins is always talking about, change your state first, and then we can change your thoughts, right? So we go into the concept of energy rituals. So you can think of it anything that changes your state. Breath work, cold showers, workouts, anything like that. And that's where it all starts. Like when we are feeling good, we have just clear thoughts, and we get far more done. But not enough people put an emphasis on their energy to have those clear thoughts and be able to be more aware of their surroundings and consume that information so they can actually execute. So for me personally, on the energy side, every 90 minutes I do an energy ritual, whether that's push-ups or highly recommend 3 to 5 minutes of breath work on the pause breath workout, or hopping in this cold plunge out here. Because during the day we have ultradian rhythms that are just like circadian rhythms when we sleep. Every 90 minutes we're hitting a dip or so. So if we can do an energy ritual to increase our energy every 90 minutes or so, we add about 2 to 3 hours worth of productivity and focus throughout a day. So that's a big thing that we focus on. It's just energy rituals, and we get 2 to 3 hours of Kroeze back if we'll just take a 3 to 5 minute break every 90 minutes.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. You mentioned, because a lot of the rituals, is it like you're just resetting your energy, or is it, I guess you're cleansing some of the, any bad energy that you accumulate over, a short period of time?
Yeah, so I could go deep down the rabbit hole with energy, personal energy, how we exchange energy with one another, is what hormones we're actually producing from saying certain words or doing certain actions with our body.
Oh, wow.
And our energy just comes down to our hormone production, really. And I go deeper in this in our school community, the Peace and Profits community, if anybody would check it out. But I teach a concept called emotional alchemy. So it's basically learning how our hormones function so we can optimize our hormone function throughout the day, and how we can also influence other people and influence their hormones to be either in fire state or in a state of ground and calm and that stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the biggest issue that's in society right now is just an overproduction of cortisol, the stress hormone. And the antidote to cortisol is serotonin. So the happy joy chemical. So like if you look at a monk, they're just smiling all the time, they're calm, they're peaceful, they're happy. When you're meditating, you're releasing more serotonin. Or when you're in nature and going on a walk, you're releasing more serotonin. If you want a blast of serotonin, we can do breath work, Wim Hof breath work, or breath of fire, which also releases a little bit of endorphins as well from the body. So the core hormones to know about are dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and cortisol, the core 4 right there. I might want to add in oxytocin, so the core 5 right there. So if we're feeling disconnected from ourselves and disconnected from other people, it's typically because we're not releasing enough oxytocin. So we're not, oxytocin is the love or bonding chemical. So like when a woman is pregnant and gives birth, they release a lot of oxytocin. That's what bonds us to the baby. But also what, which is, this is really cool. If you look at a sales page, or if you listen to a person presenting, and they share stories of empathy, of like kind of what I brought up earlier. I was depressed for 6 years. I was an alcoholic. I was taking too much Adderall. If somebody is listening and can put themselves in my shoes, they are releasing more oxytocin. They feel more bonded to.
More bonded,
So we have more of that connection, right? So any stories and empathy that we share with another person, or we're thinking about things like that we're empathetic for, we're releasing more oxytocin into our system. We're more connected to ourselves, we feel more connected to others, we feel more, okay?
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about serotonin with endorphins.
Yes.
When we're making somebody laugh, we're helping them release endorphins, right? And that actually reduces somebody's ability to think critically, but they feel more socially connected, and it allows somebody to reset to focus. So I was just doing the breakthrough experience with Dr. DeMartini. He was so good at this. He would share super dense content for about 15 minutes. He would kind of lose the audience a little bit. And when he saw that, he would share a joke. And like, he had a dirty sense of humor, but we all lost. He would share a joke, and then we were all able to refocus because we had an endorphin boost, and then we felt more socially connected, and then we could refocus on the pretty best
Back
content.
onto
Right.
Wow.
And then dopamine is our motivation, pursuit of pleasure, but like, it's the pursuit of pleasure molecule. It's not actually the pleasure molecule. So when you hit the 7 figures or the 8 figures, it's not actually like boost. It's the journey along the way of pursuing that pleasure, of reaching that. So, and also it's, Andrew Huberman talks about this a lot. It's a non-infinite renewable resource. So if we're feeling unmotivated, unfocused, all that stuff, best thing to do is stop doing the things that are releasing shit to dopamine. Watching porn, or drinking, or like any behavior that releases shit to dopamine.
Yeah.
You take 2 weeks off of that artificial rush of dopamine, then your dopamine receptors will start to reset, and you'll feel more focused and more motivated. Ways to naturally release dopamine, any type of storytelling that you're doing, or listening to stories, we naturally release dopamine because we're like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So it's a pursuit of pleasure molecule. So that's why when we listen to good storytellers, or if we are a good storyteller, we're helping other people release more dopamine. They're more motivated and more focused, right? Or when we're learning about something that's aligned with what we actually want to acquire knowledge. So like one thing that I'll do every day is watch 15 minutes of a YouTube video that's a skill set that I'm trying to build. So I'm not sure that releasing dopamine or even for me to be more motivated and focused still to doubt. So those are the core things. That's a little on emotional art.
That's like a masterclass, not just on, it's actually, I find that interesting because, you know these things or you hear about them, but in the context of, influencing other people. I think that's a great thing, and how you kind of relate it even to a sales page, right? When you're reading it, it's just that journey that people go through and releasing all these chemicals.
It's fascinating going through sales pages now, because it's like, they're releasing oxytocin here, stories of empathy. Oh, they're talking about like my pain points. They're releasing cortisol. Oh, they want me to release that pain of feeling cortisol by hitting the buy button and releasing dopamine. Like, you can just see the stream of like hormones just pumping through the system. I
don't think I'll read a sales page the same again. When I think about this, for sure. Man, that's awesome. And I think it's obviously important, as far as, what I understand of mastery, is to understand you and understand, things down to that level, right? If you really want to get to it. I'm interested to know, like, as you sort of learning this and you're applying it, did it make sense at first, or was it kind of like, do you know what I mean? Like, is it something when you started learning it's okay, cool, like I can apply this to my day to day? Because I'm thinking about just what you said and how I can apply that as well. Or was it stuff that just kind of went over your head and you had to take a couple of, had to double back a couple of times?
But one of my favorite quotes is, confusion is an integral part of learning. So whenever I learn something new, I expect to be confused. But I want to, if it's important to me, I want to expose myself to that thing over and over and over until it sticks, and take action on it over and over and over until it sticks. So whenever I'm doing something new, learning something new, like right now, learning sketch. I'm in San Miguel, Mexico right now, And one thing that I really want to develop was my Spanish-speaking mode. It's confused as fuck when people talk. But I know if I just expose myself to the environment, I'm going to pick up a lot of data points. So I'm going to get naturally better at speaking Spanish, especially if I'm reflecting on what I'm already did in terms of Spanish. So yeah, with everything, I actually have another concept called neuron hacking, how we can actually hack our neurons to produce results faster. And the first stage is just being in the environment that produces more data points to pick up. So that's when we join a new coaching program to develop that skill set. We're entering a new environment where even if we don't get it at first, as long as we show up to the calls and show up at the coach, we're picking up those data points, and over time, our neurons are going to react to that, and they're going to start firing. But the very first step is just being that environment.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's pretty cool. I made a note here. And again, you know, like you've obviously gone through like a lot of this learning and applying it. And I imagine it's very different to when you first started your business, you know, back then. And I can see why this would be a kind of your forever business now, because it's like consistent learning, right? I read somewhere that you spent like $300,000 on coaching. Now that you've gone down this journey and the learning that you have now, where do you get your inspiration from? If you're investing in yourself, like where are you doing that now?
Still invest in coaching a lot. I just joined Peter Sage's program, which I'm starting next month. I started a breathwork program as well. And I do that more for the community and the people that I meet, because when I'm investing into those things, those are people who are also investing, and I'm expanding my community of people who want. So I still do that a lot. But the secondary into that is also investing into my team and hiring super fucking smart people that I can learn a lot from, and I really enjoy being that. So 2 big investments, coaching into my team.
Into your team. Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess, you know, when you're doing that as a collective, you know, as a business, you're kind of moving all at the same pace, or at least in the same direction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you look for in your mentors now?
Well, I don't know. So it's very similar to everybody that I look to have in my life or in my close circle. I use relationship filters with all the relationships in my life. So the 3 questions I asked are, is this relationship fun, easy, and growth oriented? Are they fun to be around? Is it easy to communicate with them and overcome challenges? And am I growing with them, and am I helping them grow? So I ask myself with any relationship that I'm in, and that tells me if I want to spend more time with that person or not, right?
Yeah.
In terms of mentors, making it specific to the skill set that I'm looking to grow in that level. So like with Peter Sage, I just met him at a mastermind in France, and he was talking all about consciousness and going deeper into spirituality. And this year, my big focus is tapping more into my feminine surrender flow side and going deeper into consciousness and spirituality. So it's a season that I'm in. That's what I really want to focus on.
That's what, yeah, that makes sense. And I guess that's continuous learning, right? And like I said, you kind of bring all these skill sets in, and you just build a bigger bank of it. So that's awesome. Masters of Fate, where are you taking it? Where do you think you want it to go?
Yeah, it's my forever thing now. The biggest impact that I think I could provide this world is aligned with the emotional alchemy concept that I created. I want to create a wearable that tracks your hormone levels, and with an app that tells you, hey, you're at this hormone level. So breath work will be great. Giving breath work training, being able to click 5 minutes of breath work, good. And optimize my energy, right?
Yeah.
So we have the wearable that's like a 5 to 10 year vision. We have the self-mastery app. I think the best thing that anybody can focus on is mastering themselves, mastering their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. Because when we master our own thoughts, feelings, and actions, we can influence other people's thoughts for the right actions.
Yeah.
So
which is huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So creating a self-mastery app. So our core concept around self-mastery is evolve your identity, energize your spirit, and execute your plan. So thoughts, feelings, and actions. And that's what we do inside the Masters of Fate Brotherhood. But I want to create an app with the trainings and all that stuff and help people identify their vision, their values, their beliefs, their purpose statement, their mission statement, and give them trainings on optimizing and energizing their spirit and how to actually set OKRs, not just for their business, but also for their life. Objectives and key results every 90 days and actually execute and stuff. So free app. And then if you want to join a community of like-minded people, we have the Brotherhood. And next year we're starting and hiring a female CEO, starting a sisterhood. So
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. And then we're going to do some combined events with it, like the guys and the women. We'll talk about the values, the mission, for all that. And like, if we somebody, we would just say, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I was going to ask actually, because, obviously this is a brotherhood that you've created. A lot of concepts that, you implement there, is it easily transferable to the females? And obviously that's the route you're going, right?
Yeah, it's all based on principles. So like on the evolve your identity side, determining our values or beliefs or all that stuff. And then on the energy side, it's all our hormones. And it's the primary hormones. We don't get deep into testosterone or estrogen, anything like that. And then when I hire a female CEO, it's going to be played more feminine for them than our Masters of Fate. But I'm excited to see who I hire for that. But yeah, it'll be a little bit different, but the core concept is still right.
Still the same.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Dude, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Thanks for having me.